Picture this. It's 1984. Margaret Thatcher is reshaping the British economy. The charts are full of Duran Duran, and 2 Cambridge undergraduates just shipped the most brutally honest business education ever created.
And nobody realized it at the time because it looked like a video game.
A video game running on 32 kilobytes of RAM. To put that in perspective, a single modern emoji is larger than the memory budget they had to build an entire universe.
And I remember booting it up for the first time. The BBC Micro, that amber monitor, the wireframe Cobra ship rotating on the title screen. I genuinely thought I was looking at the future.
You were. You just didn't know it was also a complete MBA curriculum disguised as a space sim.
Here we go.
I'm serious. Today, we are going to prove conclusively that Elite, published in September 1984 by Acornsoft and created by David Braben and Ian Bell, was the original gamified business school.
Before Harvard had a case study, before Wharton had a simulation, Braben and Bell had 8 galaxies.
2,048 star systems, each with its own political structure, tech level, and market economy.
And you started with 100 credits, a dodgy laser, and absolutely no idea what you were doing.
Which, now that I think about it, is basically every Series A startup I've ever seen.
Welcome to Elite, Business Lessons from Space. I'm Sam.
And I'm Will. Let's jump. Before we even talk about the game itself, we have to talk about the people who made it, because the most important business lesson from Elite happened outside the code entirely.
Right, Braben and Bell, 2 Cambridge undergraduates. And honestly, an incredible co-founder pairing, on paper.
On paper, Ian Bell was a pessimistic, introverted mathematical purist. David Braben was an optimistic, market-focused visionary. The creative tension was, think John Lennon and Paul McCartney.
Exactly that dynamic. One guy obsessing over the craft, the other keeping an eye on what people actually want. And together, they pulled off something technically insane.
We're talking about optimizing assembly code, literally counting individual bytes to squeeze a procedurally generated universe into 32 kilobytes. They pioneered 3D wireframe rendering on a home computer in 1984.
On a machine that most people were using to play Frogger.
Exactly. The complementary friction produced a masterpiece. And then came the cautionary tale.
Here it comes.
In 1988, 4 years after launch, Braben secured exclusive rights to all future Elite sequels from Bell, in exchange for 10% of the net receipts of the first sequel only. All subsequent games, royalty-free.
Let that sink in. 10%. 1 sequel, and then nothing forever.
The partnership dissolved into legal disputes and personal estrangement, and Bell later issued a warning publicly to future developers. Never trust corporate partners to protect your interests.
They built the whole galaxy and forgot to divide the deed to it.
Textbook founder failure. And the lesson for any entrepreneur starting a partnership today is stark. You establish your equity agreements, your intellectual property protections, and your governance structures on day one, not after your first hit product.
Not after the sequels start looking valuable.
Vesting cliffs, buy-sell provisions, IP assignment clauses. You talk about them when the relationship is good, because when things go wrong, it's too late.
Steve Jobs and Woz got lucky. Braben and Bell did not.
Even the best creative partnerships need a boring legal foundation underneath them.
File that one away. Right, let's talk ships. Okay, so to understand the elite economy, you need to understand the ships, because each ship is essentially a different business model.
I love this. This is literally a competitive landscape analysis. Go ahead, set the scene.
So you've got a whole ecosystem of vessels out there in the 8 galaxies, and the first ship you probably encounter or get shot at by is a Sidewinder Mark I.
Tell me about the Sidewinder.
Tiny, incredibly nimble, 4 tons of cargo capacity. And here's the kicker. It literally cannot fit a hyperspace motor or fuel scoops. It is structurally limited to its local region of space.
A pre-revenue startup restricted to a localized incubator, maximum agility, minimum resources, and absolutely nowhere to scale. You can dodge everything, but you can't go anywhere.
Perfect. Then you've got the Mamba. Fast, predatory, 10 tons. But this ship isn't built for cargo runs. It's a pirate fighter optimized for rapid, violent tactical strikes.
The lean disruptor. Think early Uber. Think early Amazon. Not there to carry cargo, there to dominate market share through aggressive acquisition before the incumbents even understand what's happening.
You just called space pirates lean disruptors.
I stand by it.
Moving on. The Cobra Mark III. The ship. The ship that every serious commander saved up for. 20 tons of cargo, expandable hold, excellent shields, hyperspace capable. It could fight and trade. It was the ultimate multi-role vessel.
The balanced mid-market enterprise, defensive capabilities and commercial capabilities. Think of it as the Series B startup that survived the early chaos. It has real infrastructure now. He can take a hit and keep trading.
And then there's the Python.
The Python.
100 tons of cargo, massive shields, powerful weaponry, and it moves like a filing cabinet in space.
The Legacy Corporation. It dominates the supply chain through sheer volume and capital, but its slow speed makes it an open target for every Mamba in the sector.
Exactly. It's big enough to think it's untouchable, and that's precisely when you're most vulnerable.
The core insight here is the trade-off between volume and agility. The Python has the numbers, but the Cobra Mark III? In volatile, high-risk trade lanes, it wins every time. Balanced capabilities beat brute force when the environment is unpredictable.
Which in space and in business, the environment is always unpredictable.
Always.
All right, let's talk about the actual economy of Elite, because this is where it gets genuinely elegant.
It really is. The pricing model is beautifully simple.
And I want to be clear, no formulas, no equations, just the intuition. Imagine a sliding scale from 0 to 7. 0 is a poor agricultural world, 7 is a rich industrial system. Every commodity's price slides predictably along that scale.
So if you're at 0, a farming planet, right? You've got cheap raw goods, furs, wines, agricultural produce. But they want machines. They want computers.
And over at 7, the industrial hub, it's the opposite. They're churning out computers and machinery cheaply, but they're desperate for agricultural goods and raw materials.
So you buy furs cheap on the farming world, jump to the industrial system, sell them at a massive markup, then load up on computers, jump back, sell those.
Classic retail arbitrage. And the markups could be 50% or more. This is literally replicating real-world distribution chains, buying from primary producers, selling to underserved markets.
It taught you supply and demand without ever writing the words supply and demand.
And there's a third category I love: price-insensitive commodities. Gold, platinum, gemstones. Their prices don't move with the industrial scale at all.
They're immune to the market, and they fit in your cabin safe. They don't even take up cargo space.
Long-term inflation hedges held outside the primary trading operation. Sound familiar?
It's literally gold and crypto before crypto was a word.
Essentially. But here's my favorite part of this whole segment. The game could have just been a spreadsheet. Prices, quantities, buy, sell.
Oh, but it wasn't.
Because the procedural generation engine also created these absurd planetary descriptions. You'd pull up a system and it would tell you things like, the economy is driven by Leistian evil juice.
Leistian evil juice. I remember reading that as a kid and thinking, I have so many questions.
Or planets famous for their rainforests, planets whose exports are tree grubs, planets with politically unstable governments and a noted export of exotic meats. These descriptions were meaningless in terms of gameplay mechanics, but they were unforgettable.
They accidentally invented content marketing in 1984.
A vital lesson. Raw data and utility are never enough to drive engagement. Successful brands, from Apple to Oatly to Supreme, wrap their core product in compelling, memorable storytelling. The underlying commodity is irrelevant. The story is the brand.
Leistian evil juice had better brand equity than half the startups I've seen pitch.
No comment.
Okay, let's talk about where you start, because the game does not ease you in gently.
Not at all. 100 credits, 3 missiles, a standard pulse laser. That is your entire balance sheet on day one.
And if you try to be a bounty hunter or a pirate right out of the gate, even one bad encounter, one hole puncture, you are done. Bankrupt. Game over.
The early game enforces a bootstrapped, risk-mitigated trading model. You secure reliable cash flow first, then you invest. You don't swing for the fences with zero runway.
Build the base, survive, then scale.
Now, as you grow, fuel costs start eating into your margins, and this is where one of the game's most brilliant mechanics comes in.
The fuel scoop.
The fuel scoop. You install one, and now you can harvest free hydrogen directly from the corona of a star. Zero fuel costs, massive margin improvement.
Sounds amazing. There's a catch.
There is always a catch.
Fly too close to the star, and I mean even a little too close, and the ship catches fire and explodes. You lose everything.
Total corporate liquidation. The cost-cutting measure that kills the company.
So veteran players developed a proper procedure, a real standard operating procedure. And I remember learning this from friends, from magazines, from just dying a lot.
Walk us through it.
Step 1. Stellar auditing. Before you even commit fuel to a jump, you check whether the destination star is a scoopable class. Only O, B, A, F, G, K, or M-type stars work. You filter for those first.
Pre-flight checklist. Non-negotiable.
Step 2. Visual margin verification. When you drop out of hyperspace near the star, you orient your ship so the stellar horizon, the edge of the star, sits above the cockpit canopy. That gives you a safe visual buffer.
Spatial awareness as risk management.
Step 3. Thermal stasis. You approach at moderate speed. Then, once you hit a safe scoop rate, you drop your forward velocity to 0. You just sit there and let the tanks fill. No extra movement, no extra heat generated.
Resist the urge to optimize further once you've hit a sustainable operating rate.
And step 4, emergency egress. The moment your internal heat gauge hits 70%, you don't wait. Hard perpendicular turn away from the star. Full thrusters, you get out.
This is the principle behind every serious high-risk industry's safety culture. Oil platforms, surgical theaters, commercial aviation. Cost reduction strategies are only valid when governed by strict, non-negotiable checklists, because a localized operational risk, if unchecked, becomes total failure.
The game taught you that free is never actually free. Everything has a procedure cost.
And there's one more financial mechanic worth mentioning here. Players could take out commercial loans from in-game financiers like the Black Monk Monastery and First Finance to buy advanced upgrades before they had the cash.
Debt financing. In space.
Debt financing in space. Leverage accelerates growth, but it also introduces default risk. You had to maintain tight liquidity or interest payments would grind your operation to a halt.
Which is, again, every startup that ever overhired during a bull market.
Precisely. Now we need to talk about GalCop.
The Galactic Co-op. The Law. The Fuzz. The Boys in Blue. Or whatever color their Vipers are.
Your legal standing with GalCop is tracked on a point scale from 0 to 256, and it falls into 3 distinct legal tiers.
Clean, offender, and fugitive.
Clean at 0 points, full regulatory compliance, 0 police interference, unrestricted docking and market access. You are the good citizen of the galaxy.
Easy to maintain if you're not doing anything stupid.
Offender, 1 to 50 points. You've had a few slip-ups, a bit of contraband in the hold, maybe clipped another ship in a space lane. You get extra police surveillance, but you can still dock.
Yellow card territory. You're watched, but still in the game.
Fugitive, 51 points or more. You have destroyed police vessels or run serious trafficking operations. Now every Viper in the sector has a warrant for you. Interdiction on site. You cannot dock at standard stations.
Red card. And you don't get a substitute.
And GalCop police ships run warrant scanners against the Central Criminal Database, covering infractions within a 5 light-year radius or across the whole galactic sector.
There is no jurisdiction shopping in the 8 galaxies.
Now, here's where it gets interesting from a business perspective. Illegal goods, narcotics, firearms, slaves, they have extraordinary profit margins, genuinely tempting numbers.
Always.
But the hidden compounding costs of reputational damage, legal penalties, and eventual market exclusion wipe out every credit of those gains, and then some.
It's your ESG framework, isn't it? You're going to say ESG.
I was absolutely going to say ESG.
He cannot help himself.
It is. Environmental, social governance compliance in the real world operates the same way. Short-term profit from bypassing regulation costs far more in legal action, brand destruction, and lost market access over the long run.
So basically, your street cred in space is worth actual money.
Your street cred in space. That is what I mean when I say reputational capital is an income-generating asset that must be actively protected.
I love when we find common ground.
Okay, this is the part of the episode where I need you to really feel something. You are mid-jump, you've committed your fuel, you're in the hyperspace tunnel, everything is normal, and then
You drop out early. Into which space? It's not a system. There are no stars, no station, just darkness. And then your scanner starts screaming.
The Thargoids.
The Thargoids. Insectoid alien warships. Incredibly fast, heavily armed. And they don't come alone. They deploy swarms of remote-controlled drone fighters called Thargons. Dozens of them coming straight at you.
This is the Black Swan event, Nassim Taleb's term. Unpredictable, high impact, extremely rare. But when it hits, it threatens everything.
And the instinct, every single time, is to run. You see 12 Thargons and a mothership, and your whole body says, leave.
And that instinct is wrong.
Completely wrong. The correct move, and it is deeply counterintuitive, is the aggressive pivot. You cut the engines, you reverse thrust, you face them, and you put your heaviest laser into the mothership before it can flank you.
Because if you run, they encircle you. If you face them, you have a firing solution.
And when you kill the mothership, all the Thargon drones immediately go offline. They just drift, dead in space.
And this is where it gets beautiful.
You deploy your fuel scoop, and you harvest them. Deactivated Thargoid drones, scooped up as cargo, taken to the nearest orbital market, sold for an absolute fortune.
The entity that tried to destroy you becomes your most profitable quarter.
When you put it like that.
True organizational resilience isn't just surviving the black swan. It's having the operational flexibility, the right tools, the right mindset to turn the disruption into an asset recovery opportunity. The companies that thrive after crises are the ones that already built the capability to scoop up what the crisis leaves behind.
Elite basically invented buy the dip 40 years before crypto Twitter.
I'm putting that on a slide.
All right, we have to talk about the rating system because this is the heart of the whole thing.
The journey from harmless to elite.
9 ranks, and I'm going to read them out because the numbers tell the whole story. Ready?
Go.
Harmless, 0 kills. Mostly harmless, 2 kills. Poor, 8 kills. Average, 24 kills. Above average, 44 kills.
Still reasonable.
130 kills. Dangerous, 512 kills. Deadly, 2,560 kills.
And elite.
6,400 kills or more.
6,400.
Not 6,399. 6,400. And there are no shortcuts, no cheat codes to bypass it, no backdoor, no exploit that gets you the rank without the work.
Which makes it the purest possible measure of something.
Of compounding.
Exactly. Long-term success is almost never built on a single massive win. It's built on thousands of small, correctly executed decisions stacked over time. Every trade, every combat engagement, every fuel scoop run that didn't kill you, every contract you honored, every time you chose the clean route over the contraband margin.
It all accumulates.
And that accumulation, those compounding micro-decisions, is what ultimately separates typical players from elite performers, in the game and in life.
Braben and Bell built a universe in 32 kilobytes, and inside that universe, they accidentally built something far more valuable, a framework for thinking about capital, about risk, about reputation, about resilience, and about the very long game.
Before any business school had a case study on it, before any accelerator had a curriculum, a generation of future founders, executives, and managers learned to run an enterprise by navigating the dangerous, profit-driven trade lanes of the 8 galaxies.
And most of them just thought they were having fun.
The best education usually feels that way.
That's our episode. If you took anything from today, sign your founders' agreements early. Fly a Cobra. Don't scoop the star if it's not scoopable. And when the Thargoids show up, face them.
And then scoop the wreckage. Always scoop the wreckage.
Right on, Commander.
Right on.